I think we have probably the hardest audience to produce for in the world. Such a small number of viewers available to us compared to many other markets. They have incredible taste and very, very high expectations. I think that unique collision of a market that it really finds it difficult to support the level of production that we're used to seeing, and an audience that's actually expecting so much more, just means that Australian producers have to be so much more inventive.
I think the magic of what we do and the magic of filmmaking is the idea, that wonderful idea that it pops into your head. But how you take that to being financed into a finished show is a huge journey, as we all know.
There are a lot of new young voices that are emerging in the screen sector that it's new for us. Quite often want to get involved in kids' content. They grew up on Australian kids' content. They want to get involved in the space.
We're all storytellers first and foremost, and we are trying to tell, attract and develop more voices to tell more stories across more platforms to more people.
Screen Australia received a package of about an additional 30 million.
The problem we have is that every single sector is looking at us and saying, great, we'll have most of that, please.
Sure.
And I have a lot of sympathy with that view because, for example, documentary has been really hurt by the offset changes. But children's programming has always been a priority for Screen Australia. I mean, it's like the building block. If you don't get kids watching and wanting to watch Australian stories and hearing Australian accents, why would they care later on?
We communicate with our audience all the time. There's been a huge amount of positive warm on all the Australian films that we've been screening. It is a huge indication that Australians are more than capable of making high quality, interesting, engaging, broad films for audiences.
Are we getting adequate support for Australian stories, or are we becoming almost by stealth an industry of pieceworkers for foreign productions?
An industry needs to be fueled from the inside out, that global productions can come in and out based on exchange rates changing and the offset being higher in Venezuela, suddenly everyone goes there.
Also talking about the need to preserve Australian creative content and not have us become a destination for offshore filmmaking. Seesaw's made a number of highly profitable films. I'm just not sure whether they would be made and financed in the same way given the market conditions that now prevail.
One of the biggest challenges we see is the gap between deregulating the commercial networks and regulating SVODs, and the creation of a production void, the magnitude of which we're not clear on.
You're obviously a big supporter of the notion of obligatory Australian content quotas for the streamers. Can you talk sort of broadly about that?
It's critical, not least because those kind of quotas are being applied all around the world, and if Australia doesn't do the same thing, then clearly the focus will become on meeting quotas elsewhere.
The SVODs potentially could eradicate the production community itself and become just direct hirers, employers on productions.
I think we really need some clarity around the SVOD quotas and the way those mechanisms are going to work, and the very specific detail that we need to kind of understand how that's going to occur.
Is 5% enough?
5% is a very polite number. It's really not enough. It's not enough to stimulate the industry. If you're going to put regulation in place, it's got to stimulate, not stifle the industry. So I think we need to be far more ambitious with that target.